Well, ladies and gentlemen, it happened. I can bang on this table with a hammer and nothing will happen. And then I can touch it the wrong way, just a little knock, like, I don't know, like some small insignificant thing, and the live stream drops out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to reading the notes, the show comments from my previous live stream, which at this point, that's what I'm going to do. So first we have Andrew Steinmetz. He's moderating. And thank you for stopping by. And then we have Dr. Page High. It is not possible to get a Dr. Page High. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till there's a few people back. Dr. Page High, we're going to read the comments from the previous live stream. And then I'm going to go over what real men do and what real men don't do in the Philippines. So one of the things that real men don't do, what you're going to learn is when you get to the Philippines, this is what is called a tribal community. Now, I didn't know what a tribal community was when I moved from New York. Italians don't stick together the same way certain other nationalities do. So when I got to the Philippines, I had no idea. I had no idea what it was like living here. I didn't come to the Philippines and try it out like some people. I came to the Philippines because it was warm all year. I like to swim all year. The water's warm all year, and the scuba diving is great here. That's why I came to the Philippines. So in my first hotel that I stayed in Cebu, these people, oh my God, this was a Chinese Filipino family. They went to church every week, and they asked everybody in the hotel to go to church every week, but they were basically running a business that I would have nothing to do with. Had I known what they were really doing in the hotel, I probably wouldn't have stayed in the hotel. But making that public would probably not have been a good thing for me to do, which I did not do. That much sense I had. But basically, the hotel was a hotel for men that from all over the world that came to date Filipinos. For me, it was the only hotel available for long term, and I didn't feel like moving around. So I stayed there for 2 months, and while I was there, I traveled around the Philippines and found a place to live here in Bohol. So it was a kind of a resting stop. But the Philippines is a strange place to live. The moral turpitude of the people that live here and the moral turpitude of the people that work here and the moral turpitude of the business owners here is different than the way I grew up. So when I moved into this hotel, I was like amazed at the stuff that was going on in the hotel. I mean, there was stuff going on that I would have never imagined. I never saw in my life because I didn't live in that kind of an environment. But to expose the owner of that hotel, that would have probably been a mistake. Or to name the hotel as that type of hotel, that probably would have been a mistake. You learn that pretty quick when you move to the Philippines. So we're going to go back to my comments now. We're going to give a shout out to the wordsmith was in the comments from the previous video, Scott Del Fuego. I clapped before and I lost my live stream. Dr. Page High, thank you for the compliment, Dr. Page High. He said about my pizzeria video, it shouldn't be possible to get a thumbs down for that video. I think, says Dr. Page High, I think they are envious of your life and times. You retired early and are living the life the way you want. Lots of people cannot stand this. Thank you, Dr. Page High. Scott had a message up there. I missed it. Don't Dark Sidus says, lots of haters in the Philippines, as he has discovered. That's true. Go-Go Bobo's sister, very famous sister of Go-Go Bobo, two different ends of the same family genetics, let's say. Thank you for the all your support, Go-Go Bobo's sister. Dr. Page High says he's right. I'm right, because I was talking about walking backwards. Walking backwards activates the eccentric muscles of the legs, which are hardly ever used. Again, he knows what he's talking about. And you need those muscles sometimes. Thank you, Dr. Page High. Go-Go Bobo Sister says, that pizza looked good. It was good. We have a bunch of trolls, and Darksider is saying hello to Page High. Oh boy, we have messages deleted from every one of my wrenches. We talked about what a felon is. So that's all the comments that I got. So we're going to go back to what real men do and to what real men don't do in the Philippines, and why you should and should not do certain things, as I posted in the title. Okay, so when we're challenged and they choose to take the challenge by a lesser man, and let's make this clear right now. We are talking about a real man being challenged by a lesser man. So the challenge did not necessarily have to be taken. But on that day, I had my cell phone, and it makes a low resolution video. So I could put a 35-minute video up on YouTube. It wouldn't take 48 hours to load. So, but a real man does get challenged by a lesser man, and the challenge is met and exceeded. The real man doesn't expect to get ripped apart on YouTube for doing something stupid. The challenge was put out there, accepted, and done. And then how did the lesser man react? The lesser man reacted. The lesser man, let's just get this clear. The lesser man reacted with nothing but hatred and animosity and jealousy of the real man that accepted the challenge and succeeded and then exceeded. Besides succeeding and exceeding the challenge, the real man went one step above, and the lesser man went 5 steps down. That's what lesser men do. Jealousy, envy, hatred. Who knows? Who cares? I just like to make note of it several hundred times, what real men do and what real men don't do. And there's about 120 what real men do and what real men don't do notes on that page right there in front of me. So I'm going to go to my live stream and say, oh, we have everybody back. All the players are back. Scott Del Fuego, thank you. Go-Go Bobo sister. Scott, up. Scott is wordsmithing. Time out. A man like Michael Fazio will not be intimidated. He will not bow to no one and will blaze his own trail, walking backwards through the heat to whatever goal he sets. He is an expert in mechanics, tools, construction, and the science of flight. Never underestimate Michael. Simply listen, appreciate, and learn from his experience. You will be better in the ability to work, to build, to think, and to dream. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Scott Del Fuego. Scott Del Fuego always takes the time, and that takes time to compose a wordsmith like that. And I did read Dr. Page High's compliments about walking backwards, and he said that it accentuates the eccentric muscles of the legs, which atrophy. That's not a good thing for that stuff to happen. I mean, okay, so moving on. We're going to talk about real men, lesser men. We're going to talk about lesser men and real men. And we're going to talk about a lot of men that are lesser men than real men, what lesser men will and can't do, and what lesser men have done, shouldn't have done, and will regret doing soon. And then we'll talk about what real men have planned. Like right now, I can tell you that my partner, Warren Hunt, is accomplishing a task that we both spoke about last night. And today, certain paperwork has to be done in order to get Warren from Australia to here. The Australian government, even though they said they're allowing certain people to leave the country, it's still very, very hard to get Warren here. So Warren had paperwork to do all day today, and that included our partnership and what they want from me as far as my legal records that I will have to send to whomever Warren needs those records sent to, with a letter of intent that Warren and I are going to be, well, we're certainly going to be building a hotel, probably 2 hotels, and also some other properties in the area. So I went over that pretty much all. I'm going to go over it, but Warren is taking care of some paperwork in Australia right now that may or may not get him to the Philippines, but it will get him closer to getting to the Philippines to accomplish our goals. So I'm going to go back to my notes. Thank you, Go Go Bobo Sister Steve, 25901, long-term subscriber, always with the positive support. Thank you, 25901 Steve, for stopping by. And let's go back to my notes about lesser men and real men. So let me just reiterate this. Real men, when challenged by a lesser man, just get this clear. Real men, when challenged by lesser men, can choose to take the challenge or not take the challenge. But when challenged by a lesser man, if the challenge is accepted and accomplished, a real man expects at least a little bit of, thumbs up. You did good. I didn't think you could do that, but you did good. No, that's not what I got after I accepted the lesser man's challenge. What I got is ridicule for walking backwards. And yet, if you go and watch my real men walks backwards 3 kilometers in the 135-degree sun, if you go watch that video, it's about 3 videos down on my video page, you will see myself walking backwards on a dusty road in the Philippines. And I don't know, I think I stopped at 3 locations to laugh with people I knew and people I didn't know. Contracting crews that I knew some of for 4 or 5 years, and some of the guys on the crew I didn't know, but we all laughed. A food store with a young man to the right. I don't remember his name. Elmer. Elmer was the boyfriend, the tall boyfriend in the video, and the girl was his girlfriend. And she had a brother who I said guapo to, and he said no, he's not guapo. He's a girl. And I said, well, guapa then. Okay, so if you want to be a girl, you could be a girl, because in the Philippines, that kind of stuff is accepted. You don't make fun of people like that. But the laughter, that's the part that I wanted to make sure. Everybody in that business laughed. Everybody in the construction crew laughed. Everybody that I kidded around with prior to that video laughed. In the video laughed, and I made everybody laugh. That's the important part. And if you just, one thing I want to tell you about living in the Philippines, I started talking about it. It's the tribal it's called the tribe mentality. Okay. You cannot, I walked 3 kilometers backwards. It doesn't show you that in the video per se, because I walked for 25 minutes backwards before I remembered that I had a camera that I could do the video with. So I walked for 25 minutes straight backwards. And then I said, oh, let me make a video. And then I put the video on. So if you doubt that I walked for 3 kilometers backwards, we can put large money wages on that. I could do that. It's not a problem. But I know that the lesser man who made the original challenge won't do that. All the lesser man had to say was ridicule and he's crazy. He's walking backwards. Everybody thinks he's... No, nobody thought I was crazy. First of all, they've been watching me walk backwards for years. Because I just made a video the other day doesn't mean it was the first time I ever walked backwards, number one. Number two, if you're waiting for a jeepney and you're on that side of the road, walking with your back towards traffic might not be such a good thing. And there's always the stray motorcycle or stray truck that could come into the bicycle path, or just go over the line. Somebody gets a bug in their eye or something like that. It's not, So I either walk across the street against traffic or I walk backwards with traffic. At least I could see, maybe get out of the way if there's some sort of an obstacle in someone's path. But either way, I walk backwards. Real men walk backwards. Real men can walk backwards. It's good for you to walk backwards. More people should walk backwards. It's definitely a better way to walk on the flow of traffic side of the road. Because if you're waiting for a jeepney, a tricycle, or a motorcycle, you can see the jeepney, tricycle, or hobble coming and get on it. You flag them down. Yo, you want a hobble? You see a hobble? Yeah, you get a hobble. You want a tricycle or the jeepney? Because the jeepneys go by you at 50 miles an hour. But if you put your hand up, they stop. But they don't stop if you put your hand up after they pass you. So those jeepneys only come once every hour. So walking backwards serves many purposes. So real men, when challenged by lesser men to walk backwards for a mile or so in 135-degree hot sun, take the challenge and don't expect to get ridiculed for not only taking the challenge, but kicking it up a notch by walking 3 kilometers. But you didn't see all of that. But go ahead. Next time, we're gonna put some big money on the real challenge. So, got to tell you something else. I got to tell you while I'm thinking about this. Real men understand that living in the Philippines, there's 2 different terminologies that they use here. It's called the crab mentality, CRAB, the crab mentality, or the tribe mentality, or tribal mentality. So in that walking backwards video, everybody that you saw either knew me personally, has seen me for the last several years, or thought what I was doing was interesting enough, but nobody ridiculed me. But let's digress, just slightly digress. So if you live in the Philippines and you cause a big ruckus in your neighborhood, you think that you're just pissing off one person, but that's not how it works here. The first thing a man told me when I moved to a certain part of Bohol, to the Alona Beach area, he said, you got to learn to not argue with the locals. That's what he said to me. And he said, this is the tribal mentality. I had no idea what he meant because I'm an independent thinker. So when he explained it to me, he says, if you piss off, he had men working on his house, building an extension on his house. This is the first apartment I had. Because if you piss off, every one of those guys were friendly to me. Every one of them, I give them some foods. We talked. We hung out. I brought them a bottle of liquor once in a while. Every one of them were friendly. He says, go, if you just piss off one of those construction workers, any one, nobody on the crew will talk to you. That was true. That was definitely true. Because one of the men had taken something that belonged to me without my permission. And I said something to him. And even though everybody on the crew knew, I did it in front of 18 men, by the way. Every man on the crew knew that he took something that didn't belong to him without my permission. Everybody knew he was like that, which eventually he ended up getting fired for. But everybody knew he did something wrong. And when I argued with him in front of the crew, nobody talked to me again. That's the crab mentality in the Philippines. So even though I had an argument with a man that everybody knew he took something that didn't belong to him. Everybody was pissed off at me for arguing with him in person. So that's one of the first things that you learn. You don't piss off your neighbors, and you don't piss off the guys that are working on a construction crew, because if there's 30 guys and the lowest man on the totem pole, you have an argument with the lowest man on the totem pole, they're going to all be pissed off at you. You're a foreigner, not allowed. Now, it's different if you're dealing with a professional and they lie to you about the price of something and you get into an argument with them. They will accept that because they know they screwed you. And you probably come to a middle ground understanding somewhere along the line. Happened with the plans for the permits for the hotel. Supposed to be 13,000 pesos. By the time I was done, it was 26,000 pesos. And it wasn't complete. So I said, what's going, well, you know, it was just a matter of that they could get that much from you, and they did. So the rest of the work done was not given to him. I just brought it to a different architect. And the other architect knew about the first architect. They all know each other. The first architect knew the second architect. And the second architect said, no, I'm not going to do this because you have to deal with that guy. So I went back to the first guy and I said, look, you need to do this job for 26,000, no more. I gave you 26,000 because I paid him. I'm not giving you any more. Finish the job the way you said. And he did. And what was wrong with the plans? Let me tell you what was wrong with the plans. This is what they believe is your fault for arguing with them. 4-story hotel. I'm building a 4-story hotel. 4 stories. I gave him a set of plans for another hotel that I wanted to copy the room layouts for. 4 stories. It's a 4-story. It says 4-story hotel with the name of the... And what did the guy give me? After 6 months, he gave me a set of plans for a 2-story hotel. What's this? What is this? Oh, sir, this is the plans for your hotel. It was supposed to take 3 weeks. It was 6 months. I said, well, what is this supposed to be 4 stories? Oh, yeah, you're right. I've been sick, he told me. What, for 6 months? Because at that time I had gone to America and came back. And it was supposed to be done before I left for America, but it wasn't. And when I got back, it still wasn't done. So he made an addendum. Floor 3 and floor 4 are typical of floor 1 and floor 2. That was his idea of a 4-story hotel plans that I paid for a set of 4-story hotel plans that I got a set of 2-story hotel plans for. So he just put floor 3 and 4 typical of floor 2. So whatever I do on 2 as a layout, square foot layout, I can do on 3 and 4. But I can change the rooms around it. That's not a problem. Not problematic because I can. That's part of the understanding about the plans not being correct, not being the walls. The plans are absolutely approved and correct and permitted and everything, and all that bullshit that you hear on YouTube, that's all bullshit. I have plans to build a 4-story hotel. What is not set in stone is if I want to make the second floor one big room, I can make it one big room. If I want to put 3 separate rooms on the second floor, I can do 3 rooms with 3 sets of plumbing, or have a common bathroom, or have a common kitchen, or do 3 kitchens and 3 bathrooms. Anything is all included in the plans. It's included for 12 livable apartments. So if I want to make a livable apartment 10 foot by 10 foot with a kitchen and bathroom in it, then I could do that. If I want to make a hostel environment, those little hostels where people rent by the day, a little cubicle, if I want to put those in, I can do that too. I have an unset building pattern for 4 floors. But that wasn't what I agreed on. I agreed on having a set of plans that showed 4 floors. But and the price was almost double. But all I said is, I'll find somebody else to finish the plans properly. And he said, okay. And then when I went to another person, they said, no, you'll have to go back to the original guy. They won't do it. If I have an electrician that does work for me, this is the crab mentality. You don't understand what it's like living here. My electrician did a freaking A1 job. A1, number one, fast, efficient. I helped him. Him and I worked together. We laughed all day. I showed him how to do a few tricks, and he showed me how they do it here, and we got on just great. I gave him some work after that for a neighbor. But let me tell you something. He's my electrician now. One day, additional service put on the property. And they said, well, who did this one? And I told him the name of the guy. He goes, well, now you're going to have to call that guy back up. That's your electrician. I said, in other words, you won't do the job? He said, no, sir. You already have an electrician. That's your electrician. This is the way it works here. The guy did great work. I didn't know where he was. He didn't answer his phone. Electrician, I was in the building department for something else altogether, and I was sitting next to a different electrician. He goes, no, sir, that's your electrician. You have to get in touch with him. Eventually, the guy answered his phone, eventually came to my house, eventually gave me a good price, and eventually him and I worked again on another project. Not a problem. But this is different. It's different here. If you have an electrician, I got to tell you, there's an electrician that's been doing work down the block from me. Some of the stuff that this guy does is just, they work different here. I told him, I explained to him that's not going to work. What you're doing isn't going to work. And yes, sir. And he continued. What he was doing is he notched. I can't believe that. Okay. On the side of a building, he didn't want to see the pipes. So they notched 12 inches wide, the whole length of the building, for 1 inch pipe, which is 1 inch and 3/8 outside diameter. And they literally made the chase like 1.5 inches. They left 1/8 of an inch to hug the pipe into the wall so that it would be flush with the surface when they cemented over it. And I said, you can't do that. Why not? I said, well, the pipes are going to expand at different contraction rates. You're not using a wire mesh with the stucco. It's going to blow off the first time the sun hits it. You had 1/2 inch pipe in there, 3/4 inch pipe, and 1 inch pipe. No, it won't. Okay. And he put the whole, and he cut the trench with a grinder. He cut it with a grinder. He cut it with a grinder, a die grinder. And then I swear to God, he chiseled out the trench with a nail through a piece of PVC, and they just kept hitting, and they chiseled. They used the nail for a chisel point. It took one man 3 weeks and an additional man another 10 days. So it took six weeks of work, 8 hours a day, to chisel out a chase 30 feet long. I'm not lying. And I told them it's not deep enough, it won't work. And they put the pipe in there, and they couldn't pipe flush with the surface, so they took the pipe back out temporary. And they made it deeper, and I said, you got to go in another 1/2 inch and put wire over in the cement. No, sir. And they put it in the way they wanted to. They don't listen to experienced people here. This is a different place. They don't care what you think. Kind of like me. I don't care what you think. I never care what you think, and I'm never going to care what you think, except that when I told them that shit would blow off the pipe, it did. So 3 months later, they took all all the cement off all 5 pipes, 12 inches wide. And they chiseled out the trench a ½ inch deeper, and then they put the pipes back in and put a ½ inch of stucco over the outside. No wire, though. But it looks good now. But they don't care. They don't listen. Had I argued with the guy, it wouldn't serve any purpose. So arguing with people here about something that gets done wrong or incorrectly, not going to serve you any purpose. You'll learn the hard way arguing. So arguing with just, if I would have argued with the electrician, the cement contractor would have been mad at me. If I would have argued with the electrician, the laborers would be mad at me. I argued with a laborer. He put 500 cement blocks. The owner came by and said, Michael, if you see the cement blocks getting delivered, put the cement blocks over there. And I put an X on the floor. And when they came off the truck, the laborer made the truck stop short of the mark that he knew was there. And he put the cement blocks 10 feet away from where they belonged. Now, the truck could have pulled up to where the mark was, but it didn't. Because he said, don't back the truck up there. I'm going to put the cement blocks over here, and then tomorrow we'll move them from here to over there. 500 blocks. And so if I argued with that guy about moving the blocks, everybody would be mad at me. So I let the guy put the blocks in the wrong place. And then when the owner asked me, how come you didn't make the guy put the blocks over there? I said, I did. I told them where to put them. And you know what the guy said? No, you didn't. You didn't say that. And they all believed that they all believed the laborer. Even though I put the mark there, even though I was there, even though Daisy at the time said, yes, he told them, the men said that I didn't say where to put the blocks. So this is what you're up against when you're in the Philippines. Argue with one person, you argue with everybody. Don't argue with people, everybody smiles at you and they laugh. Other than that, you got to learn to live in the Philippines. It's different. Now, what real men learn about arguing with other people in the Philippines, got to tell you, they don't like it. They don't like it at all. It doesn't even matter that the guy that Daisy said to put the cement blocks there agreed that I did it. That guy that was working for the owner of the building, when he said that I didn't say where to put the cement blocks, here's what happens. If the owner fired him and the other laborer, then everybody in the building would be pissed off at the owner. This is the crab mentality. Why? Because laborer, electrician, plumber, they're all friends. You can't piss off anybody in the whole crew without everybody in the whole crew being pissed off at you. So the owner just went along with the fact that the guy lied about that I didn't tell him where to put the cement blocks and made me out to be the bad guy. I don't care. I don't have to move the cement blocks. You have to move the cement blocks. Me, I'll just throw them in a fucking hole in the backyard. And that's pretty much where a lot of them went.